Good morning. If you're just joining us, it is Thriving Thursday. This is your host, Keely Austin. Welcome to the Elevate Renatus team call. As of right now, we have 49 participants. Reach out to your team, text the ICMs, and make sure that we don't have anybody left behind. Our trainer today is Christion Sadler. Christion Sadler is someone who I highly respect and look up to. When I was first getting started with Renatus, I don't even think I had really pulled the trigger yet. I was just checking out some events. And I went bowling to a fun bowling event with Michael Huggins and some other people, and Christion Sadler was there. And I just remember him being so friendly, so welcoming. And he even had some challenging questions for me. And at that time, my mindset hadn't really moved yet from like scarcity and W-2 to what a lot of us Renatus have, a mindset of abundance and wealth. And so I just remember Christian's questions for me were very moving and really kind of made me think outside of the box. So that's just one of my first memories of Christian, and I just really do look up to him. He's an awesome person. So a little bit about Christian. Before Renatus, as a young teen, he was troublesome and he was kicked out of class a lot. Once he got older, he was experiencing financial scarcity. He was at a daily wage job in steel fabrication. He heard about real estate and the wealth opportunity that it brings. He attended a few different guru events, and he felt like he wasn't really getting anywhere. He found Renatus. He started hanging out with people that he wanted to be like. He showed up early to meetings and he left late to meetings, meaning that he was helping out however and wherever he could. He was very, very determined. After Renatus, he has become a marketing leader. He's a PIT team member, President's Advisory Council member in training. He's one of the founding members of Team Elevate. He's done multiple transactions netting over 6 figures. He's been in the real estate business for over 13 years. He's always looking to add value to people around him, and we're so very fortunate to have Christian as our trainer today. Good morning, Christian.
Good morning, Keely. How are you?
Doing wonderful. How are you?
I'm doing amazing. And just want to give it up to you on being on this call. I know that you're probably in full swing of helping to prep for regionals out there. You do so much for the team locally and nationally, and you being on these calls and starting things off right is really a great thing for the entire team. So we're grateful for you, and I just want to say thank you for who you are.
Thank you.
All right, folks, I'm going to turn off some videos here and get these out of the way. Just so they're not distracting. And, uh-oh, where do we go? There we are. Get that video. Stop that video. Stop that video. Stop that video. All right. Perfect. So let me switch over here and we are going to share the screen. Pull this up. Share the whiteboard. So here's the conversation that I wanted to talk to you guys about. And it's really about the compounding effect and the compounding effect of life. So the changes in your life are going to be determined by a few things. Starting off, I mean, when we really take it as all-encompassing, it's going to be what you put into your mind and what you choose to do with it. So I want you to consider this. The only thing that's going to change, the only thing that's going to matter in the difference of your life from today to tomorrow to 5 years from now to 10 years from now and on and on and on and on and on is what you put into your mind and what you choose to do with it. So, I mean, there's statistics out there and I don't have them on me, so I'm not going to try to give you exact numbers, but a majority of the people stop learning after high school. Like the majority of people, they just stop learning after high school. They don't pick up a book, right? They don't go out there and learn new skills. When it comes to the things that they're choosing to put into their mind, most people are in patterns, right? This is where you see these people, they're still living in the same town, they're still, have the same, type of a job, they're still reliving their old high school days where they used to be the star football player, those types of things. Now, even a higher majority after college age, so after the age of 22 to 24, completely stop learning. So they spend all this time, money, effort, and energy to educate themselves on a profession, and then they just stop. And quite frankly, this is why many people end up stuck. They end up in a rut. So you have to ask yourself, what has your choice been? What have you been doing? What have you been putting into your mind? And what have you been choosing to do with it? Because there are some people that are constantly educating themselves, but that's all they're doing. They're simply educating themselves, and they're not actually doing anything with that information. In other words, there's a whole lot of very highly educated derelicts. So, how is this? How can you influence this? What is it? What is going to matter to you? Well, there's a few things. Oops. What books are you reading? So I'd like you guys to type that in right now. What books are you currently reading? While you guys are typing that in, I want to let you know. The book that I'm reading right now is, it's just called Edison. So it's a biography of Thomas Edison. And so right now I've gotten all the way up through his childhood, his teenage years, and we're just getting to the point as a telegraph operator that he is also becoming an inventor. So it's pretty cool to learn so much about our past here in America and the cities that were prominent, and the forms of communication that were used, and kind of the life of children of that age, and how quickly they were kind of moving out of the house and those types of things. And so that's kind of where I'm at in that book. Now, the other thing that's interesting is I have my son. He's 12 years old, just turned 12. He chose to take on the book Think and Grow Rich. And so he's reading that book each day, and then he's doing a little paragraph about it. And it's for his schoolwork, but I also told him that if he finishes that book, or when he finishes that book, I'm going to give him $50. So he's excited. And it's kind of cool to just ask him. And I don't pry too much because I don't want it to be something that turns him off about the book. But I get to have these conversations with him. And it's almost like I'm going through Think and Grow Rich again as I, glance through his homework, and as he tells me the stories that are his favorite stories and those types of things. And so he actually said that his favorite stories so far, when I was talking to him last night, are of Thomas Edison and Henry Ford. And so I know there's more than one story in there about those. And so it's really cool to just listen to him and see the changes and how early he gets the opportunity to change. Guys, I think I was 23 or 24. I'm going to say it was 23 before I had read Think and Grow Rich for the first time all the way through. Now, I've definitely read it many times since then, some partial, some full. I would guess that I'm almost a dozen times through that book completely, meaning from start to finish, reading through that book. So I want to know what books you're reading. And I'm going to pop over here to the chat. Let's see what books you guys are currently reading. All right, let's come up here. Miracle Morning. Sandra is reading Miracle Morning. So again, Sandra, there's a lot of people that have read that book. So now the choice is, what are you going to do with it? Are you implementing the Miracle Morning? Ashley, you're not reading any books currently. Well, here's an opportunity for you. It's your choice whether you take it on, but today could be the day that you start. Go choose a book. Go grab a book. Start a book. All right. From Ada, 21-day vegan kickstart. All right. You're taking on a new lifestyle change. Very cool. Teresa, question-based selling. That book right there is powerful. I've been through it, and I utilize that in my life when I'm asking questions and doing that. Keely's reading Think and Grow Rich and listening to How to Master the Art of Selling. Well, I think that's going to tie in, and if you apply those things, your business is going to be improved. Unlabeled by Mark Echo. Brandon, I've actually have not heard that one. I've not heard of that book. And I wonder, Mark Echo, is he the one that created Echo brand? I used to always wear Echo shoes and clothes when I was a kid. So I'm curious if that's who it is. I don't know if that's who it is. But yeah, Scott Buchholz, Rich Dad Poor Dad, and I Will. All right, great books. Blue Fishing. Oh man, that is an awesome book. Blue Fishing. I've followed Steve for a long time. I actually met him here in Utah in Park City. He was a part of an event called SAM, Sales and Marketing. Great book. Great book. And also, what a guy. His life is incredible. Question-based selling. It sounds like there's a few people that are going through that right now. Mary Pierce is going through creative visualization. I love it. Jody is going through Profit First. Very cool. Ashley, she's going to take on a book, and she's going to do it today. So, Ashley, to keep you accountable, I'd like you to follow up with me. I'd like you to let me know which book you started and how far you are by the time we get on this call next week. Marsha Jeffs, Success Principles. And hopefully, I'm guessing that's Success Principles by Napoleon Hill. Martha Gonzalez, Business of the 21st Century, Go Pro and Sell or Be Sold. So you've got 3 books going right now. All right. Implementing. Yes. 3 Feet from Gold by Greg Reed. Awesome book. That actually, Jody, that one right there is, coming from the Napoleon Hill Foundation, Greg Reed and all the great folks over there. So I Will by Tom Rainer, Sell or Be Sold by Grant Cardone. I love it. What Would the Rockefellers Do in Killing Sacred Cows? So Jenna, you are on a Garrett Gunderson kick right now. And then you've got Think and Grow Rich moved in there. Very cool. Procrastination Cure. If I know correctly, Rhonda, that is by Jeffrey Combs. Jeffrey Combs was one of my very first official mentors. When I say mentor, I'm talking about a guy that I spent over $10,000 to not only go to his trainings, but to train to coach with him one-on-one. And I'll tell you what, Jeffrey Combs. All right, hold on a sec. We got somebody off of mute. There we go. We got somebody off of mute. Hold on. All right. I think we're good. Check that book out. They're from Brandon, Business of the 21st Century, Robert Kiyosaki. Kenneth Rowe, Fake. Is Fake the book? I don't know. All right, Bud Anderson, 77 ways to get more customers. All right, so it sounds like we got some readers in the group, and that is key. So you've got to ask yourself this question constantly. What books are you reading? Now, interestingly enough, I was, diligent when we had the group Audible account with Michael. Man, I was pretty much going through a book every single week. And typically I was going through it twice because I was listening to it on, 2.5 times the speed. So, 2.6 speed. And well, most of them, it depends on the author, but most books I was going at about, 2.6 speed. And then I would slow it down. Interestingly enough, I wouldn't slow it down all the way to normal speed because then it sounded like they were really slow. So what I would do is I would start off by going all the way through it on 2.5 times the speed. And then I would slow it down to right around 1.5 times the speed. And I would get through about a book a week doing that. And I was diligent about it. Now, once we had, where we don't have that group Audible account anymore, I just, quite frankly, I've been going through podcasts and I've been listening to other things. I've been, playing more music. And it has really taken me out of the amount of books that I'm reading. And I've noticed my own growth. I've noticed that there's, less, just ideas sparked on a consistent basis as I'm driving down the road. So one of the things that I'm going to do this week, you guys can hold me accountable to it, so I'm going to start my own Audible account. And on that Audible account, I'm going to start adding books. As I get through each book, then I'll add the next and so on and so forth. And so I know that with the account, typically you get one book a month. But I know for me, one book a month is not going to do it. So I'll take that book a month, but I'll also probably be adding in anywhere from 2 to 3 additional books, depending on the length and how fast I go through them. So what books are you reading? Next question to ask yourself: who are you meeting? So this is the next question. Who are you meeting? Now, the interesting thing about it was when I was working in the steel shop, who was I meeting? Well, typically I wasn't meeting very many new people. I mean, have you noticed this? When I was working a W-2 job, I was meeting the people that were at my job. And then I was coming home and I was meeting surrounding myself with the people that I'd always surround myself with. And then I would go to parties. And when I would go to these parties, who would I meet? I would meet people that were at the same level of influence as me, at the same level of growth as me. I would meet people that were not necessarily inspiring me to be better than who I am. Since I have become an entrepreneur, I've noticed that I'm constantly meeting people who are inspiring. And so I saw a quote the other day, and I think it was actually from Nipsey Hussle. He's the rapper that recently got killed, and he had a lot of positivity in his music and the influence that he was making. And he said, if the people in your circle don't inspire you, you don't have, what did he say? I got to remember it now. If the people in your circle don't inspire you, I can't remember how it was said anymore, but it was basically, you don't have something, you have a trap, right? Basically, you're in a trap. So you don't have a circle, you have a trap, I guess is what it was, So I'm going to have to look up that quote and get back to you guys on it, but it was powerful to me to think of, because if the people around you aren't inspiring you, then you're really trapping yourself. You're holding yourself back. So here's the next thing I want to ask you guys. Who is the most inspiring person that you've met in the last, let's call it 90 days? Are you proactively putting yourself in situations to meet people that are going to inspire you? And so as you guys are thinking about that, as you guys are putting that in there, the last 90 days, who is the most inspiring person that you met? So I'll tell you my experience. Now, I've met some really influential people in the last 90 days, but one that sticks out to me, and it sticks out to me mostly because of the way that I was treated by him. And actually, I want to pull up really quick. I got to remember his name. So let me just go out here. What was his name? Anyways, I'll tell you the story, and then we can get to it. So I was actually in Park City, and we were eating lunch there, and I went off to use the restroom. And so I was standing there, and somebody had just went in the restroom, so I'm standing there against the wall, and guy walks over, really tall guy, just very normal, very average-looking guy, walks over, and he stands there for a minute, and he says, "I think that one's open." And I didn't notice that there was one around the hall. So I was like, oh, I didn't even realize that was there. But it was also occupied. And so I just started a conversation with him. By the way, sometimes to meet inspiring people, all you have to do is open up your mouth. Start talking to people. So here's what I did. I said, oh, do you live around here? And he said, yeah, I live up in Deer Valley. And he said, what about you? I said, oh, I used to live over in Oakley, just recently moved to Pleasant Grove. If you guys don't know where these places are, it doesn't matter. But Oakley is close to Park City there. And he said, oh, it's beautiful over there. And I said, yeah, absolutely. I said, so, what do you do for a living? He said, oh, I'm kind of an entrepreneur. I'm into, tech. And I said, oh, interesting. Oh, and he said he's an investor. He said, I'm an investor, I'm kind of an entrepreneur, and, I do a lot in the tech world. And I said, oh, that's great. How did you get started in that? And he said, well, years ago, I started this little online retailer called overstock.com, and it's just kind of blossomed from there. So interestingly enough, so his name was, I believe it was Robert Brazel. So he founded overstock.com. So I had a bit of a conversation with him when we were walking out. We kind of, had just some little niceties. He's sitting in conversation. I was with my fiance, and I really I felt the energy from this guy he was just genuinely cared about people, and there was no feeling of arrogance coming from him. And I thought, this guy just knows something about life. So. Inspiring guy. After I got home, I started looking up all of his accomplishments and what he's done and his investment firm. And, it's pretty incredible. So the guy is worth billions, and most inspiring guy that I've met in the last 90 days. Okay. So from you guys, let's see, who have you guys met? Let's check it out. Keely Austin. Yes, Ashley Keely is amazing. She has an incredible mindset, and she's helping a ton of people there in the Arizona marketplace. Sandra, Mike Kessler. Yeah, Mike is doing some amazing things. And I actually sat in on his study group this last week and got to hear a lot about what he's doing with mobile homes, and he has built quite a business there. Megan Christensen. Yes, Leslie. Megan, just a powerhouse lady. She knows so much, and grateful for her and having her in the education. Got to spend some time with her when she was in Utah this last time. Brandon Anderson, Sean Terry, and Caleb Maddox inspired me to come up with the title for my book when I met them last month in Arizona. Very cool. All right. Keely, I met so many inspiring people in Panama Leaders Retreat. Sandy Girl Clark, killing it right now. Alan Groves, that dude is just, he's a good friend of mine. I love how he is just continuing to just do deals, even though he started just recently. I think he's 11 months into the business, and he's like 11 deals in. It's kind of cool. Nate Lambert, yeah. That dude, I consider him a great friend. I get to spend time with him often, and we talk not only on a business level, but on a personal level. And this is key, folks. You want to get people that are inspiring you to become your friends, right? I remember there was somebody at one time who was part of the business, and his sole goal was to be in Bob Snyder's cell phone and to have him call him for friendly reasons other than business. And he achieved that goal. And the guy, did some amazing things. James and Lisa Lease, love that couple. They're doing amazing things out there in California. Ryan Laura Black. Oh my gosh. Again, people that I consider incredible friends, almost family. And that's all inspiring people. All right. Joanne Smith, Bill Predabon. Yes. We had go on. Let's see. Just reading through. Okay, cool. And the quote. Thank you, Licia. If you look at the people in your circle and you don't get inspired, then you don't have a circle. You have a cage. All right, Jason Andrus from LaShawn and Ashley. You met me. That is very flattering. All right, folks. So, who are you meeting? What books are you reading? Who are you meeting? And the next question is, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? See, it's interesting because as you're out there meeting people, you've read the books and you're out there meeting people. When you start having conversations, this is where it really makes a difference. Because quite frankly, if you're meeting people, but you have a negative attitude, you'll notice you repel those people that are most successful. And you attract to people, or you attract to you people who are also negative. Your energy and your conversations are influencing the world around you more than you could possibly realize. And they are either positively influencing or negatively influencing the other people in your community and in your business. So I'll give you a story that Chad Wade often told. Chad Wade was a mentor of mine. He was the very highest paid income earner in Bob's previous company. I think he was making about $1.7 million a year just on education referrals, working with Bob's previous education company, which, by the way, their compensation plan, their earnings plan was not nearly as good as ours. So with that, he told a story about how he had a guest, and that guest came to an event, and it was one of these full day events. So think about the regionals. What regionals are you going to? You're going to be in a situation like this. You might have guests there, and I want you to imagine this experience. Your guest comes to the regionals. They're still just investigating everything, and they get up when it's not break time to go use the restroom. And they notice there's a little circle of people out there, and those people are in conversation. And this guest, I'm just going to say that this guest is highly qualified. Okay, they've already been to a few exposures. They are, they're interested in what they have. They have multiple ways of pulling together the funding. I mean, they have money in retirement accounts. They have money in the bank. They've got open credit lines. And as they walk out of the regionals to go use the restroom, they notice this circle of people, and they walk over. And they just kind of mosey over just to see what's going on. I mean, these are people that they've seen you talking to, right? They figure if they're out there and they're wearing their suits that they are, they're leaders in the business. So they kind of want to get an idea of what's the conversations. And as they get over there, they notice that the whole conversation is gossip. So they've got somebody talking about how somebody looks, and they got somebody talking about somebody else's weight. And we're not talking about in a positive way. We're not talking about, inspiring way. We're talking about gossip. Now they stay there for a little while. They go use the restroom. They come back in, and that feeling sticks with them. Let me ask you, do you think that person as a guest is highly inspired now to join the team, to become a part of this community? Now, some of you are thinking, well, the conversations that I have that are gossipy or negative, I do in private. I don't bring other guests into that conversation. I'm really careful. Folks, Walls have ears. Quite frankly, you might not think people are listening. And I hear this every single week where people are having conversations that they think it's just them and the person that they're talking to. And they're not considering that they're surrounded by guests. And sometimes I'm not talking about negative conversations necessarily, but I'm talking about when I'm walking through the halls and somebody's saying, how many guests do you have here today? Right? That's not a bad question, but at an initial, at initial presentation, do you think the guest that's there is wanting to feel like it's kind of a cattle call? Or the person that comes through and says, man, I got 5 people invited. Nobody's here yet. I don't know what to do, man. The energy that comes off with it. So what are you talking about? What conversations are you having? Are they inspiring? Are they uplifting? Are they about ideas? I'll tell you, when I was looking through the names of the people that inspire you, Nate Lambert and Ryan and Laura Black, and all these people that I get to surround myself with on a consistent basis. You know what we're talking about when we get together in our leadership meetings, and when we get together and we're having a conversation, in the hallway at nationals? We're talking about ideas that will help the community grow, ideas that will help us close more sales, AKA enroll more people, in other words, change more lives. We're talking about ideas, not people. So I want to leave you with these thoughts. What books are you currently reading? Who are you meeting? And if you're not meeting anybody who is inspiring you, that is far above you as far as success and influence, take a choice. What can you do over the next 7 days to make sure you put yourself in front of people that inspire you? Now, it's great to do it through, the different ways of listening to podcasts and hearing people and doing that. That's the amazing world that we live in, the world of technology, where you can, quote unquote, meet people. In other words, get an idea of what they think about without having to be there in person. But also, I want to inspire you to put yourself in the position to meet somebody inspiring. And this might mean spending a couple $100s to go to a local seminar, workshop, or networking group. It might mean spending a few $1,000s and even doing some traveling to go out to, maybe a Jeffrey Combs type of an event, or, some other inspirational leader. It might mean spending tens of thousands of dollars and going to Anthony Robbins or, one of these other big events and traveling across the world. I don't know what it is for you, but I do know that you can make a decision and you can choose over the next 7 days to put yourself in front of people who are inspiring you. You know who I'm really grateful for over this last week? I guess, was it a week? Might have been 2 weeks now. Anyways, I had the opportunity, and I guess it was 2 weeks ago. So it was 2 weekends ago, let's put it that way. So about a week and a half. I had the opportunity where I spent the day with Michael Huggins and Zach and Samari Ullman. And first part of the day, what did we do? We had a Super Saturday training, and we were, there with everybody. But then, you know what I did? I invited them all to go to the Utes game. So we went for a drive. We decided that we were going to go to the Utes game. We went there, we watched it, we experienced that, we had conversations, we had fun. Afterwards, we decided to go to dinner. But, interestingly enough, on the way to dinner, what was Michael's suggestion? He said, hey, let's go to the park and let's walk for a little while. I mean, if we're going to eat, let's get our body moving. So we went to the playground and we played and we swung from the swings and we jumped as far as we could jump and we did, pull-ups and we hung upside down and we did all that stuff. So the interesting thing about it is many people look at those who inspire them and they see them from only one perspective. And they fail to realize that the most inspiring people usually are also the most fun. Afterwards, we went to dinner. We had an incredible dinner. We got to hear all about Michael's plans with his property in Tennessee, and we got to hear, all kinds of cool stories. And I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful that every single day I can call somebody who's in my same profession, in my same business, who is, so much higher of an achiever than I am. And they'll take my phone call and we can have a conversation and they will share with me. Just recently, I was talking with Nate Lambert and I asked him to share with me a resource that he's created for his team. I said, hey, would you be willing to share that with me? And the answer, of course, was absolutely. Now, I know that there's a bunch of leaders on this line and I could call them at any time. And so you guys have that same opportunity. The interesting thing enough is you might not need to spend $10,000 and fly across the world. You might not need to spend a couple $1,000s and, travel to another state. You might not even need to spend a couple $100s and go to a local networking group or, seminar. You might be able to just look online or pull open your phone and look at the person in Renatus that inspires you and reach out to them. Reach out to them and talk about ideas. Appreciate you guys jumping on here. I've got to get over here and start the pit team call, but just want to check in real quick if there's any questions real quick. So let's see. Just getting in here. Okay, so true about the cage, real estate, asking about their interests and passions, conversations. Please post the quote. The quote is on there, Ross, so just go up above and you'll see the quote. Their passion, my passion, about their goals, their dreams. Books, just outside of the regional intensive meetings doesn't indicate that the information inside is important. Yes, exactly. Joanne, thank you. You got it. If somebody's outside of the regional having conversations, what does it say about the information inside? It devalues what's happening in there. High five attitude conversations. I have an idea I'd like to share with you today at SLCC. Sandra, absolutely. I'm going to be there. Attending regional nationals, you will find and develop a relationship with leaders. Yes, get to regionals. Zach and Samari are amazing. We tend to forget that we have so many tools at our disposal, but we don't always use them. Well, every single one of you have the opportunity to use them. Oh, wait, it looks like okay, the quote, it was posted, and Licia, thank you so much. She posted it privately, so I'm gonna go ahead and post it to everyone. Here's the quote I'm gonna leave you with. If you look at the people in your circle and you don't get inspired, you don't have a circle, you have a cage.